casting a set of games with you as well, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited for that. When I first started getting into casting and stuff, I did have some conversations with Mentalist, and he's a great player, great personality, so I'm sure the stream is excited for that as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm really looking forward to having him on. And he said he could do a couple of sets of games. I'm hoping he could maybe do a little more, but we'll see. I don't want to ask too much of him. But yeah, he'll be here in a little bit. He will be here a little bit later on. That's what I'm trying to say. But for now, we're going to go ahead and cast this Nicov versus Tim set. Oh, yeah. And if you're ready, I'll count us down. We'll launch the game and get this one underway.
All right, sounds good to me.
In 3, 2, 1, play. And for those on the stream, let's move us in game. Here we are. All right, T90, go ahead.
In the blue, we have Nicov playing as the Huns for this match. And in the red, we have Tim, aka Tim Panda TV, bunch of numbers. He's playing Spanish. But he normally doesn't actually have Tim in front of his name. I don't know if someone asked him to do that, but
yeah, we asked him to do that.
Okay, that's funny. Anyway, we have C-Notes again, and the Civ matchup is an AOC Civ matchup. Nicov playing as the Huns, and then we have Spanish for Tim, which is peculiar to me, but we'll see where he goes with that. I will start with Nikov's base. He has pretty interesting map, actually. He has woodlines all around his base. He does have 3 golds in the back. Holy cow! Forward, there's a large hill, and both of his stones are there, and that's what interests me about this. We could see Tim go forward. I don't know if that's his style, but if you were to tower rush, you'd want to tower that area first. Now look at Tim's base. He has a forward gold. However, it's not too far forward, so I don't think I'd be too worried by that. Woodlines on the back. Extra golds are actually in the back of his base as well, next to that little cliff. But all in all, I really like the C-Notes map, Zach. I like it a lot because, well, I'm an Arabia fan, so this is maybe as close as we're going to get. But it seems to be the most fair because, you know what everybody's going to get, and it's open, but it's not too open. You can use a lot of different strategies. So this will be good. Players choosing civilizations they're familiar with, and we'll see what happens here.
Yes, is for me like a little bit better than Arabia in my opinion. I mean, some people might say burn the witch for saying that. Hey, look at that, Tim's boar going back again. That's the second time we've seen this in 3 games. The boar just running back for what seems to be no reason. I will. Someone should clip that, and I'll send it to the devs, and they'll be like, "Oh, I wonder why that happened," and then we'll see if it gets fixed in maybe a few patches. But it's kind of weird to see the boars running back like that. I'm not sure, but anyway, I was gonna say about C-Notes. It's a pretty nice map because it has got the similarities to Arabia, I guess, with the openness, but it's a little less hilly in areas. So it's not like you can find your TC in a crater and just get screwed by it. It does tend to be a little flatter around the player land area, the player lands area. The tree lines are generally very small, but you never get the water or the oases spawning in the trees. So it always gives you, if you've got a tree line, it's going to be a decent tree line for the map, since all the tree lines are pretty small. But that it's not going to have any water clipping into it and causing your villagers to be very inefficient. And also the ponds, which they're a feature of Arabia, but normally they're in the woodlines, they are quite interesting on this because depending on how they spawn and where they spawn, they can actually throw quite a few spanners in the works when it comes to walling up. These ponds generally don't offer much, a couple of shorefish, and more often than not, they're just a bit of an obstacle to break the map up a little bit. And I like it because it's super open, and as you said, leaves a lot of strategies to be explored. Now, speaking of the maps, I mean, Nikov's map, it's actually not too bad at all with the wood situation and the gold situation, but his stone, it's super forward. And we saw Tim playing on C-Notes yesterday. And I can't remember who his opponent was. Dugao. It was Dugao. He went super aggressive as the Spanish on this map with the tower rush, and it was a really well executed aggressive push from him. Now, with the stone from Nicov being on the front, maybe Tim is tempted by that once again, and we could see him go forward, especially as well since the berries are there. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tim going forward on this one.
Yeah, me either, Zach. Spanish kind of known for that play as well in 1v1s. Excuse me. You'll go man-at-arms, towers, and then maybe defend with skirmishers because your opponent can transition to archers, and it's normally not what you do with Spanish because they can't get crossbow. So I am expecting some type of an aggressive push, and then I'm expecting a lot of walls from Tim at some point, trying to get to the castle age. A castle, if he can get it, would be beautiful for him, and then conquistadors. That's the ideal scenario for Tim. Meanwhile, Nicov, he can do a lot of different things with Huns, which is why they're preferred. He can drush, he can go man-at-arms, he can go tower rush with the man-at-arms, he can go scouts, he can go straight archers. He can afford to do anything because all that stuff is available to him later on to upgrade and benefit from. But right now, definitely going to be doing something with the barracks. Is he making militia? No, I think we're going to see man-at-arms again.
Yeah, it's got to be fast feudal. But, I mean, who said that the Huns weren't versatile, man? They can literally do anything in the early game. And I think that's why the players love them so much, because there's just so many options available to them. The Spanish, if anything, are such a linear civ in that sense, because they're very predictable. If they don't go scouts in the feudal age, they're walling and fast castling, and that's that. So Tim here, I guess he could come forward as well. He has built the barracks, and he's going to go ahead and start queuing out a couple of militia. I think both players going for a similar strat right here, and I think that's a good thing for Nicov, because he doesn't want to get forwarded. He doesn't want to lose access to these stone mines and start feeling a real crippling pressure from Tim on the front here. Both players might end up meeting in the middle by the looks of things, as Tim actually comes forward with the 5 vills.
Yeah, I mean, expected, wasn't it? At least, you know what? I had a bad prediction last time. You predicted it here as well, but I'm getting my reputation back. I like the move for Nicov, because imagine if he drushed and then was stuck in the Dark Age versus a tower rush and man-at-arms from his opponent. I like the fact that Nicov is going to try and go with man-at-arms as well. The question is, will he be able to push it back with just 3 and versus 5 villagers building towers on his base? We will see how he responds.
Yeah, I also want to just add a little bit more perspective to this game, and that is that Nicov was actually our last champion. Nicov won the EGM2, which was our last 1v1 tournament. Tim actually finishing in the bottom 4, which is why he had to qualify through. So just a little bit of perspective on the players there. But look at this. Nicov is actually going forward with 2 vills as well, and he's actually added in a 4th militia as he does this man-at-arms research. And I'm wondering where he's going, because that first tower is coming up.
I think he's looking for Tim, and maybe now he's YOLOing forward. I think he's expecting Tim to be around here. Now he's looking with 2 more villagers. Oh, surprise.
Defensive tower, where is it? It's going to be difficult because the man-at-arms are coming in from Tim on the berries. Villager very nearly going down. Tim's going to turn his attention backwards, and he's not going to find a single villager here, but he will deny the berries. Oh, wait, no, I take that back. He will find 1 as the tower comes up and lays into that guy. Poor man. But yeah, no stone now for Nicov, and this is going to be rough because he has to access his stone if he wants to build these defensive towers. That's why he's built the tower here on the front. He does have an extra man-at-arms in this fight, so could take something, but has to be very careful of the tower from Tim, as that could be very difficult to stomach some arrow shots from that.
This has gone perfectly for Tim, with the exception of the fact he doesn't have enough stone for another tower yet. So he's basically waiting, and he's given Nicov a little bit of time to get his own tower up and secure that stone. So good start for Tim here. That was really bad for Nicov. You would not expect him to run forward like that and expect him to be there. It seemed obvious to me that Tim would be on the right side. Nikov's going to palisade wall towards his TC, but I expect these men-at-arms just to batter their way through. And Tim is going to go for another tower. And speaking of lack of stone, Nicov does not have enough stone for another tower now either. So he's going to need to take this fight.
Yeah, maybe if he brings his men-at-arms over, he can force the fight, bring the villagers in, and just try and batter the tower down. He cannot afford to let this tower go up. It's going to deny a lot of farmland from Nicov, and Nicov needs to try and shut this down as fast as he can. If he can kill the villagers before the tower goes up, that is just the perfect situation. But it seems like he's going to focus on taking out a couple of his men-at-arms first. He'll surround the tower now, the villagers coming in as well. I don't think that tower's going to stay up for too long, but has to be very careful not to be drawn away from it here. Kills the scout from Tim. Tim's down to 2 men-at-arms, and his villagers having to run away now. I wonder, wait, what? He's fighting with the vills? Surely Tim realizes he's got to get out of there. Those villagers are toast.
Oh man, one villager down. I know we're not exactly on the same time. Oh, did they all make it into that tower?
They made it in, but like, look how low they are.
Wow, yeah.
They keep hopping in and out.
Exactly.
Like, if he doesn't run away with the vills, they will die because the tower's going to go down, and so Tim has to get out of there. But he's sticking around for so long. He actually gets a villager kill from Nicov.
Well, yeah, he's gonna get another one as well.
Oh my gosh!
And can he repair the tower? No, he's just gonna run away. 2 weak vills of his own, but believe it or not, Tim actually getting 2 kills and losing no villagers there. That's why people hate the Trush, because it's so messy. Just a couple repairs. That tower is doing damage if you're not underneath it.
Believe that.
But still, I think Nicov is not in an awful position, Zach. I mean, okay, first of all, 6 villagers forward underneath that tower. They need to get to work, but he does have archers out. What does Tim have? Well, Tim already has his archery range, and he's going to be going skirms, so I don't know. This is so weird. It does seem like Tim's positioning on the front has bothered Nicov enough to where he might have an advantage now.
Yeah, Tim's looking good. He killed so many villagers from Nicov. I'm surprised, to be honest. I didn't think he'd get so many under this under this tower on the right side. He does eventually lose 2 vills, but the big problem for Nicov here is he's actually unable to gather stone safely. He's only just moving over to stone now again. It looks like he did lose a stone miner over here. I don't know if that was from earlier on or not, but finally just building the mining camp and moving out again with his archers. But as you said, Tim's already ready. He's got the skirms out. He's seen the archers a long time ago, and he's had plenty of time to prepare the counter unit for this. And I don't think Tim's really bothered now about looking to do more damage to Nicov. He's done the damage. He's just going to wall up and look towards the castle age, I feel, because that's where the Spanish are going to be the most comfortable. As I say that, he's actually building another watchtower right here. Right in the middle. That's a ballsy tower.
Well, I kind of like this move. You notice Nicov sent his archers out, and Tim is probably comfortable behind his walls, as he normally is. So he's just going to try and be annoying and get another tower up, deny the berries, and maybe one more farm. A little bit of space. That will slightly range that stone as well.
Oh, yeah,
I think this is a wonderful play. Wonderful use of the Spanish civilization for Tim. And he obviously had a plan going into this. Nicov probably expected this, but he hasn't stopped it yet. Archers going down on the front, one of them anyway. And though we're a long way from the castle age, I think this has been a good performance so far for Tim.
Yeah, Tim right now actually does get that tower up. And I mean, that's the nice thing about the Spanish as well. I mean, he can get that tower up pretty quickly with just 2 villagers, thanks to that build speed bonus of the Spanish. And that coming into play now means he does get the second tower up, forcing another defensive tower from Nicov. Nikov's got a lot of idle villages on the left side, the stone mine, finally sending them back to work. But this tower, as you said, it is in range, and Nicov cannot gather stone safely now, so he's going to have to move back. Tim actually nearly up 500 stone. I'm surprised he's actually kept the stone income so high, considering he's not actually that committed to building a lot of towers here. Just 2 villages forward right now. It doesn't seem like he's looking to tower up like crazy. But yeah, still going to build a defensive tower at home on the goal. And yeah, I think Tim's in a great position right now.
That is not a confident tower. I hate that tower placement from Tim. It blocks 3 tiles of gold. Well, 2.5, I guess. Why would you place a tower there? Just delete the palisade wall, build a tower on the front, and then you're good. But he obviously thinks that Nicov has a lot more archers than he really has. Both players with messy economies. I wouldn't be surprised if Tim goes for a market and tries to buy his way up. But on the front, Dak, he's killed an archer, gonna kill another one, and another tower going up. This is typical Spanish play in 1v1s.
Yeah, man. I again
And
about that.
Chinese at the same time.
Well, about that tower on the front, yeah, I mean, he's got skirms out. He knows that Nikov's got the archers here. He's got the counter unit in play already. So I don't know why he didn't go out further forward, but hey, I mean, the tower still will serve its purpose for now. The watchtower on the right side being focused down by Nicov, and this is where the skirms really do sort of fail. And that is, of course, that they are useless at killing villagers, and Nicov will be able to take this tower down successfully here on the right-hand side, basically uncontested, because, you know, these skirmishers, 1 damage and a javelin seems a little bit ridiculous, but these villagers can just walk around with 39 javelins sticking through them and still be just fine.
They just puff their chest out and deflect them. These are badass villagers. But Nicov, how many villagers does he have forward right now? 5 pushing this way? Way too much. And also he has 1 villager, 2 villagers in that tower next to his TC. So tons of vitals for Nicov. And he's actually going to lose a vill. Wow.
Well, what's quite interesting right now is that both players are actually even in unit count. 48 for Tim and 48 for Nicov as well. So, I mean, Nicov actually probably quite similar economy size. But as you quite rightly said, a lot of that economy has been idle this game. These 4 villagers on the right side standing around doing nothing. The 2 in the tower, like you pointed out. The 4 on the left side, which I pointed out earlier on the stone. So really, for Nicov, it has been a little messy. And look at this on the left side as well. Another 6 villagers sort of moving forward here. Not sure where they're off to, but they're certainly not gathering any resources right now. So I feel like Nikov's economy almost grinding to a standstill here as his villagers seemingly go on strike at the moment.
Yeah, I think Nicov knows he's behind, so he's going to run forward and try and do some damage.
Into the archers, though.
Those villagers? Oh, jeez. Jews.
Oh, no.
Jeez. Sorry. These villagers are stranded now, and the archer's going to force them back. That's just pathing there, I think. Because sometimes if you click, they'll split around buildings and wood lines and things like that. Market is going up for Tim next to that tower. He's not even using that wood line now. And he's probably going to buy his way to the Castle Age. And yeah, Tim, in my opinion, Zach, has a huge advantage here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's actually going to get a tower. Or a tower from Nicov coming up on this wood line here. But that's going to achieve absolutely nothing other than giving Nicov another 6 villagers worth of idle time. So, yeah, I think right now, Tim on the way up to the Castle Age, as expected, he's got 700 stone in the bank, so he can immediately throw up a castle once he does get to the Castle Age. And, okay, Nikov's going to town on that house with these 6 villagers. The house will go down pretty quick, but will it go down faster than Tim can emergency build a watchtower here? I think the watchtower is probably going to come up first with those Spanish ladies building it. And I just think once Tim gets castle and that castle comes up, it's going to be rough. It's going to be really rough for Nicov.
Yeah, I think Nicov knows that, which is why he's trying to go aggressive down the feudal age. But easy tower for Tim to place. He has all that stone floating. Even after that, he's going to have enough for a castle. 651 right now. Conquistadors are going to be so difficult for Nicov to deal with. And we are, let's see, 64% of the way up for Tim now. Just well played, man. I'm really impressed with how this worked out because Nicov probably expected this, but you know, a little bit of luck for Tim, missing the army of Nicov early on in the feudal age, and that's all I needed. He's doing a good job now. More towers from Nicov. The question is it going to be enough? I don't think so.
Yeah, the map is super nice for Tim here as well, given the positions of the stone of Nicov. But yeah, I mean, Tim's about to hit castle. The stable's coming up, no doubt, so that he can... Well, he might go for a couple of knights, but probably bloodlines here. Tim actually doesn't have 650 stone anymore, so I thought maybe he'd actually save the stone, but he had to build another defensive tower, I think. So
yeah, that's really important.
That actually slowed him down. So this trush from Nicov here actually slowing down the castle of Tim. And so Tim will actually go for knights instead of the castle and the conks. But still, knights are going to absolutely tear through this army of Nicov. He's got, what, an archer and 5 skirms? No problem for the knights. And Nicov back at home only has 1 tower defending. So this whole back section of his economy is ripe for the taking for for Tim's knights. The castle is now coming up as well. It's going to be a little later than than Tim might have liked. But in all honesty, right now, Tim has got this game in the palm of his hand, and he is probably going to be walking home with the win in just a couple of moments' time as Nicov flees back towards his base and clicks up to the Castle Age.
Yeah, I'm kind of skeptical to call it this early, even though I kind of did early on. Nicov has a lot of wood, which means he can make more archery ranges to go cav archers. He's stonewalling the left-hand side frantically. He's gonna need to buy himself some more time, but maybe, just maybe, he can mass enough archers. And if he does have the archers, he can maybe deal with those conks. But all these villagers running back, army as well, the small army, and these knights for Tim, they're going to be annoying for the next minute or two.
Yeah, I think even as well that the conquistadors, they can easily get around the back and they can easily pick villagers off from over the walls and things. You know, they hit hard, and Tim here, okay, he's not gone for the eco just yet, but still the majority of Nikov's army is skirmishers. He's got a couple of archers out. It's going to be pretty tough. And I think maybe Nicov even committing a little heavier to the skirms, almost anticipating the conks here. And Tim's just going to be able to say, yep, just going to throw my knights at them, and they're going to go down. So Tim's going to come in straight to the back of Nikov's eco. Nicov going to go for the quick wall, and let's see what Tim can get done here. 4 knights, but low on upgrades, only +1 defense. There's a couple of spears from Nicov as well. Tim so far killing 1 villager. He might find 2. No, he won't. Okay, so actually a pretty failed attack right there for Tim, all in all. Or maybe he
1 or
found
2 villagers went down there. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think 2 villages went down there. I think the important thing is that Tim now has that map control back, and he has a total of 3 town centers back at his base now. So, you know, comfortable behind the stone walls. He doesn't even need to make any more knights. It's probably not the plan. And Conquistador's coming out, and I'm guessing a siege workshop for Tim now, because the threat of crossbows or skirmishers might be.
Well, I think what's quite impressive. I think what's quite impressive from Tim this game is that, you know, he's made the knights, the 4 knights. He's transitioning into conks. He's throwing up a siege workshop, but at the same time, he's already gone up to 3 TCs. So he's actually got a really solid economy behind this. Whereas Nikov's eco, it looks a lot more messy. It looks a lot more open and easy to raid. He's also got 2 TCs coming up a little later than Tim here. But man, Tim is going to be able to boom up behind this and maybe not deal the finishing blow right now, actually, but still put himself into a great position for the later stages of this game. Roaming around right now with the conks on the right side, whilst Nicov pushes out on the left. Let's see what either player can do here.
Yeah, they're not attacking each other at the moment. You can see these units coming over from Nicov on the left-hand side. They're going to try and take out that knight because he wants to keep that tower up. But Tim's not worried. He's placing another town center above his starting TCs, or TC rather, and there's 2 golds there, another wood line. And those conquistadors are running around the right side of Nikov's base. He's going to have to be very careful of this because these conks can one-shot villagers.
There you go. Just like that. And, okay, Tim is now going to realize, there's a TC there. Probably can't do too much. But as I was saying before, the Conquistadors still make a much better raiding unit than the Knights. They can roam over the farmland, and any villagers that get close are going to be blasted into next week, because they can do that from a nice comfortable 6 range, keeping themselves well out of the way of the TC while still doing a lot of damage. So for Tim right now, these conks denying a huge amount of wood and food, and also getting a few villas here and there as well. Meanwhile, Nikov's trying to push in, but the big difference here is that Tim actually has a castle. However, I do think that Tim lost a couple of villas right there as well.
4.
4.
Yeah.
Wow, very good for Nicov then, considering that he's got 2 towers in the castle here. But I think that's the key. You know, this gold is very exposed, and Tim isn't actually taking the gold at the back yet. He's still stubbornly taking the gold on the front.
I'm so tilted by this tower, though. If that tower was further forward, the gold would have been more efficient, and those crossbows wouldn't have been able to do that. Like, come on, Tim. This has been a great game, but that one tower has put a blemish on everything for me. That's all I'm going to remember. But, yeah, you're definitely right about the Conquistadors, Zach. I mean, they're so strong. 75 HP. Tanky unit. Arguably the most tanky unit you can get in the Castle Age, which is why Tim went with this strategy. He does have Mangonel in the middle, and that'll probably pop out when needed. But notice he's actually gone for 2 stables, so he's going to add in conks and more knights.
He's in the position now where he's, after going up to the 4th TC, he can start pumping that military. Just look how many farms he has. He's up on 36 farms right now, 38 even, and Nikov's on 13. That is a massive difference in Eco's setup. Tim's going to be having so much food coming in. I'm a little concerned about his gold income at the moment, actually. Maybe the gold was where he's lacking. But Nicov right now, obviously going for a different build since he's going into the crossbows, which is arguably the better unit choice in the Castle Age versus Conquistadors. But bear in mind, Tim's also adding in the mangonels as well. So that could also really bite Nicov later on if those mangonels get a good shot.
And these 3 conquistadors for Tim in the back, denying 2 golds, idling a lot of villagers, and there's not a lot of space there for Nicov either. So, I mean, these conks still haven't gone down, and Tim is sitting pretty right now, Zach. I mean, he's going to toss the knights forward, I imagine, soon with more conks. He's going 3 stable knights, and he actually has stone for another castle. So he might try and finish this late Castle Age instead of going to the Imperial Age, which has kind of been the trend the last couple games.
Yeah, we saw that actually with Backed last game, and he did a great job of it versus Slam there. I think you might be right. Look at that castle placement from Tim. Like, what a castle. Let's just put the castle between 2 towers, right in the middle of my opponent's forward economy area. Just, wow. Tim loves his ballsy moves. I love his ballsy moves. I'm sure Tim loves them as well when they work. And he's coming forward now with that castle right there. I love that castle placement. That is bold. Let's see if it pays off. Oh, it does.
It's
GG.
definitely bold, but I mean, that's got to be the game, yeah.
Oh, wow. Let's see if it pays off. Nicov calls GG.
Yeah. Bold enough to scare him into the next game. Just give him a loss. One full play from Tim. I don't know how many people in the stream watch a lot of Spanish Wars and 1v1s. I myself, I've seen a lot of it, and this is hard to pull off against Huns because Huns are pretty fast and versatile, like we talked about before. And it was beautiful. Notice he didn't commit to full tower rush. He delayed his opponent, idled his opponent with it, kept the map control there on the front too with that 1 tower, and then just walled and built up his economy. This is a really good strategy, and it fits Tim's playstyle for sure.
Look at these farms, man. It's like I've filled my screen with farms right here. The only thing that's missing is probably a mill right in the right. Just for efficiency's sake, a mill right here that would have been perfect. But yeah, I mean, Tim, like, I love the way he came forward. I think, you know, one of the keys here for Tim with this tower rush was, one, the position of Nikov's stone, which he was able to deny, and that caused Nicov to have a harder time defending. And secondly, the Spanish build bonus, the speed at which they can build their towers. It's so nice when you're in a trush situation because you're never really going to send more than 3 or 4 villagers forward. And Tim was able to still get towers up faster than Nicov with just 2 villagers on the front when he lost 2. So, very nice play from him, and I think Nicov just felt after the messy start to the game, I felt like Nicov couldn't really get back on his feet and start feeling comfortable and settling into the rhythm of the game. And I feel like that's something that's really maybe overlooked in a lot of games. Once you feel like you're playing messy, everything starts falling apart, and it's really hard to get it back under control and keep your composure. And I think Nicov there, after seeing the castle on the front, probably realized that, yeah, I'm done. Let's just move to the next game and go for the tie here. But we're going to chuck it to Nilford now.
As well.
Sorry to interrupt you. We've got to chuck it to Nilford before